Hi there, welcome to the channel, welcome back if you're a return viewer. You're watching the Christchurch Review of Books and I'm Kerry. Today we're winding up the year 2024 with a book haul for the month of December. Initially thought there wasn't going to be much to talk about here, but within the last couple of weeks I've kind of splurged out a bit and bought a few new and used books. Okay, the earliest one that arrived in December is this big one, The Moon and Serpent Bumper Book of Magic by Alan Moore and Steve Moore. Now this is a quite hefty tome which has been in the works for about 20 years. I remember it being talked about in the early 2000s maybe, or maybe 2010s. Some of the contributors to this book, Steve Moore himself, who was a famous figure in the esoteric kind of occult world, Forteana world as well. Famous figure, you can look him up on Wikipedia I suppose, and he was a friend of Alan Moore. Alan Moore probably needs no introduction, big name in the world of comics and oddball writing basically. What they call him, the Wizard of Northampton or something. He's currently got a new novel out called sorry, I won't even try and quote it, to the Great Ween or something like that, some type of alternate world thing. Anyway, this book was put together over the last couple of decades. A couple of the contributors, like I said, have died. Steve Moore has died, and the great artist Kevin O'Neill contributed to this, and of course he passed away a couple of years ago as well. So, what is it? It's kind of like an introduction, for a young person's introduction to magic, esoteric topics and the occult type stuff, with kind of like comic strips along with text and illustrations. Here's some of the comic stuff. It's very well done. It's, you know, they've taken their time and got this right, because they had a lot of time to bring this to fruition. And initially I think the concept was to be like one of the old-fashioned British annuals that, like, a lot of books, TV series and what have you would put out towards the end of the year for the Christmas market. And, you know, even in this part of the world, we got a lot of the British annuals. They're like hardcover books that came out right near the end of the year, aimed at, like I said, the Christmas market, and they'd be targeted at fans of a certain comic or fans of a certain television program, or all that type of thing. And that they kind of got a bit cliched, kind of they'd have like the comic strip, and then they'd have a text story which no one probably read, and then they'd have puzzles and games in them, and a lot of them are pretty horrendous if you go back and look at them now, but they kept us entertained at Christmas basically. And I think the initial concept for this book was to be kind of like a jokey version of one of those, talking about magic and the occult for children. It's turned into something a bit more expanded than that. It's actually very detailed. There's like detailed stuff on tarot cards, and there's like these lives of the great enchanters, which are like these one-page comic strips talking about various people involved in magic and that type of thing. Very similar to the Hunt Emerson strips in the 14 Times magazine, of which I'm still a subscriber and still trying to catch up with the last 8 months worth of issues. Yeah, so it's an interesting book. It's a bit of an artifact, a bit of an oddball thing, and it's I think it's just luck that it actually finally came to fruition after so many years. And I enjoyed having a flick through. I'm not sure how much of it I'm actually going to read in the near future, but I was disappointed to find, I don't know if you can see it very well, the binding is actually coming away from the covers at the back. Tossing up whether to go back to Amazon, for that is who I got this via, go back to Amazon and request a replacement. I think my time's running out on that. I'm not sure if it's worth the offer, the stress and worry. As this is a book that's probably just going to sit on a shelf or something anyway, and I think I can possibly live with the damage, just to say I've got a copy of it. So that is the Moon and Serpent Bumper Book of Magic by Alan Moore and Steve Moore. It's a handsome book. I'm not sure it's worth the rather expensive price, but you know, as an odd artifact, something that was long talked about and actually came to fruition, it is probably worth having a copy in your collection. Okay, so after that, we flip over to a couple of books I bought from RTB's in Wellington, the big bookshop with an online presence in Wellington. Nothing too spectacular. This book is Guitar Man by Will Hodgkinson. I've read a couple of books by this author. I enjoy his writing style. I think the last one I read was This House is Full of Yogis, about his being roped into his parents' his father's weird religious beliefs as a child. And he also wrote another thick volume which I read a couple of years ago about the lesser known novelty type hits in the UK chart between 1970 and 1980, I believe it was. I can't remember the title of that book off the top of my head, but it's really good, it's really interesting. And this one takes a different tack. It's basically Will Hodgkinson adventures when he tries to learn how to play the guitar, and the people he meets, the places he goes, and the lessons and the experience of trying to learn a musical instrument as an adult, which is apparently very difficult, they tell me. Not that I've ever tried it. So that is Guitar Man by Will Hodgkinson. And another book from RTB's is this one, Stuff I've Been Reading by Nick Hornby. Now this is a follow-up to the book that I'm currently reading, which is, I'm trying to pick up here with my other hand, which is Polysyllabic Spree by Nick Hornby. Now, Polysyllabic Spree is a collection of his columns about what he's been reading, his brief kind of reviews of books, and what he's been buying in the book way, and that was published in the Believer magazine in the early 2000s. And this basically is more of the same. I'm not sure why the paperback size is different, but this basically continues his Believer columns into the 2010s in a way. I'm enjoying what he reads. He's got a very snarky, kind of jokey, come serious attitude to the books he reads and why, and it's enjoyable. I haven't got a huge way through it yet, but it's just something I've been dipping in and out of. It's not really a continuing narrative or anything, obviously. So that one is Stuff I've Been Reading by Nick Hornby. Okay, a couple of new books. I actually went against my own instinct and went back to the much lamented Mighty Ape for this one. They still haven't fixed the troubles with their website and service, basically. I don't know what they're doing. They're trying to bribe you to go back by giving you vouchers for money and all sorts of things. Anyway, they had a big sale on around Christmas, and I picked up a couple of books which I'd wanted for a while, and they had the best price, so I guess it was worth the worry and stress of their website and their service. And the one I got first was Return to Blood. Now, this is the second in the Hannah Westerman series. The first one was Better the Blood, which I did a review on last week, and that's the story about the Maori cop in Auckland and the serial killer. And this continues her story as she's, spoilers, out of the police force now and returns to a small town, and of course she can't keep away from murder mysteries. She discovers a buried body, and is it someone who went missing when she was a child, or is it someone else? So this continues Hannah's adventure. I'll be interested to read how the author has written her once she's not in the police and doesn't have the big dilemmas that she had in the first book. I'll be interested to see how that one turns out. Okay, and the other book I got from Mighty Ape is Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. Now, 10 years ago or something, I was a big fan of Annihilation, his very atmospheric, weird book about explorers in the zone, or in somewhere in Florida, I believe, where basically the alien ecosystem had taken over, and all the weirdness and the weird atmosphere and feeling of that book. Annihilation was really great for that. And it and its two sequels, I think Authority and Acceptance, I think it was. So the two books, they all came out in these small hardcovers from, I think, the publisher Fourth Estate. And they're kind of like a matching set, and I've got all the three of them, and they look really nice. And of course, they haven't done a matching set for this, the fourth in the trilogy, as it were. He's gone back to the well, and he's written a book about the Area X, as they call it, prequel, sort of, and continues the story of the weirdness going on in the Area X, like I said. And this is Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. Okay, so just before Christmas, I went for a little trip down to the St Albans Edgware type area of Christchurch to see Reverie Books, which I hadn't been to for about a year. I think a video I did just before Christmas last year featured my trip there, and I went back again. There's a lot of stuff in there which I've put on wish list based on their website, which I haven't actually bought, and I didn't buy any of them when I went in there. I just had a quick look around, and I found this, Searching for Charlie by Tom Scott. Now usually this is quite an expensive book to buy even second hand, because it has a certain sentimental meaning to New Zealanders, and I found this copy for $14 lower in price because the dust jacket is missing, I believe. And well, I mean, I don't believe it, but it definitely is missing. It doesn't have one, does it? But I think that's why the price was reduced. Now this is the journalist cartoonist Tom Scott's odyssey exploring the life of one Sir Charles Upham, who was basically a war hero for New Zealanders in the Second World War, and afterwards he was like a man that others would aspire to be like. He fought in various battles and did all the heroics to save his men and what have you, and he was awarded the Victoria Cross. That's the highest bravery medal in the Commonwealth, and the nations aligned with Britain, or whatever you want to call it, in the Commonwealth. And he won that award twice, which is almost unheard of. And this kind of book looks beyond the front, or whatever you want to call it, and tries to kind of discover the real Sir Charles Upham, about his life and the people who knew him and what he did. So that is Searching for Charlie by Tom Scott. Okay, I think we are pretty much done. So that is the Great Haul of December 2024. I'm still penny pinching quite. There are other books I want. There's another book I've got on order from Amazon, which is apparently going to take a month to get here, and that's Modern Books. Stories compiled in a recent paperback. If I could remember the author, I'll tell you, but yeah, so that one's on its way. So other than that, I think that is the year on this channel completely wrapped up. I hope you've enjoyed the videos I've produced this year. It's been a bit of an up and down with all the changes in my life. I hope I've given you at least one or two videos which have helped you find new books or explore new areas of interest. So I will leave it there. I won't ramble on any further. So thank you for watching the channel this year, and I hope your new year is a good one. Cheers.